Hi everyone, I'm Gina Doyle and I'm the product designer for Verify Testing and Runner. And today I'm going to walk through my scorecard evaluation that I recently completed, and it is around the Runner Enterprise Management area of GitLab. To give you an overview quickly of how the UX scorecard process is carried out, the first thing to do is identify the job to be done to conduct the evaluation. And for this one, I've written that down and I'm going to go deeper into that in the coming slides. The second is to create an experience map of the process. This is more of like a storyboard that is related to this scenario that you're going through. And we're using Mural to document that. And you'll get a little bit more of an insight into that as we continue on, and I show that. The third thing is to carry out the evaluation and score the experience. So for this part, there's a couple different evaluation types that you can go forward with. And one is heuristic evaluation. The other is observing internal or external users going through the scenario. For this one, I am using the heuristic evaluation. And then once you're completed with that, then you score it using the grading rubric. So there's a grading rubric in our UX handbook that goes further into detail of what those, the scale would be there. So for this one, like I said, I ran the scorecard around the Runner Enterprise Management area of GitLab. And the persona that we're primarily dealing with here is Priyanka, who's the platform engineer, and she kind of acts more of as an admin who is overseeing all the runners that are related to her organization. So there's a lot of jobs that can be related to that, but for this one specifically, we're focusing on when I am managing the execution of many CI jobs at scale, I want an overall understanding of the job executors connected to my organization so I can make effective decisions. When we say job executors here, it's really only runners because we're talking about GitLab. So depending on the product, that may change. But for here, we're talking about runners. And to give you some insight into what users are dealing with today, there can be tens of thousands of runners in one instance, and this one person is responsible for overseeing all of those. So being able to find something quickly, even if there's multiple actions to be carried out on those, being able to find it quickly and then carrying out those actions successfully and easily is really important for them. So there's a good amount of reasons of why we're doing this. One is that our UX research team recently wrapped up a study that resulted in low ratings related to learnability and complexity using GitLab. And so this evaluation is meant to help identify areas of usability and learnability improvements within the runner area. It doesn't just span to the runner area. We're actually, as a UX team, we are all conducting these evaluations and we're pairing up so that one person is evaluating an area that they don't usually work on at GitLab. So they're acting almost as a new user and can therefore provide learnability insights to the other designer that they're paired up with. It will also, for the runner group, it will provide direction for us to prioritize issues in our upcoming Epic focus, which is enterprise management, which is the admin view of runners. So I have set up my scorecard and I am also evaluating it. And that's because I'm new. I don't know a ton about runner, so this will be a learning experience for me as well. I have a bunch of links here if you want to dive deeper into any of that stuff. So the scorecard details, there is a scenario that is at hand, and the main focus of this is that you're responsible of administering a large fleet of runners, like I was saying with our customer pain points right now. You need to have access to insights into the status, availability, security, and performance of your runners in order to make crucial decisions that impact your team of developers. And then there's a bunch of tasks that I ended up writing out to be able to complete this scenario, since that's more of like a general scenario. So what I'll do is I'll go through each of these tasks and give you insight into how I carried these out. And this is not my first time completing them, so it's more of like a summary of how it went. So I'm gonna go into my own instance of GitLab, and I'm gonna go into the admin view because that is where we're looking at this and we're looking at runners. Okay, so right from the bat, I can see that I have a ton of runners considering I have up to more than 500, I'm assuming from that number. And the pagination is all the way down here and I don't even see a total. So I don't really know how many I have, but I have a lot. So I'm gonna jump over to my scorecard issue, view runners associated with an instance or group and verify it is running as desired. So here I can see that types are already identified using these labels. So I'm assuming that I can filter by type. Yep, so instance. Okay, so it looks like I have a ton that are at the instance level, which must be the same as shared. And I'm guessing that since these are not contacting, have never contacted, they are not actually running. So the status is probably inactive, although it's not really clear. I wonder if I say active. No, apparently they're active. They just never have contacted. Okay. Well, there's one. I don't know how many there are of those, but there must be a lot. And then the other type is group. So I'll just go with that. Oh, I only have 2 grouped runners. Okay, so I have one that is paused right now and one that looks like it's running. Let's see what happens if I say, yeah, so this should just give me that one that's paused. Okay, so cool. That was pretty easy. I'm really happy that there were filters to be able to allow me to do that. So that was great. So the next task is search for a runner using its unique identifier. So I guess my question would be, how do you get the unique identifier in the first place? I'm guessing it's these like little, this little string, which I cannot copy. Okay, there we go. So maybe if I can just search by that. That's weird, it doesn't show me any. So it looks like I can't search for the unique identifier, which would really suck if it wasn't on this first page. But if I use Command F, I can at least get highlighted to it. Yeah, that's pretty tough. The only other way I can think of using a unique identifier is maybe by the registration token that you use to be able to register that runner, which I believe won't work either. For the sake of this, I'm gonna just quickly delete that. Yeah, that doesn't work either. So I can complete that if I know that the name, if the unique identifier means this, then I can complete it, but very unnecessary steps to be able to do it. Search for an active runner, change its state to inactive, and then edit its description. So let's see, search for an active runner. I'm just gonna pick a random one. Let's do this one. Change it to inactive. I'm guessing if I just say pause and then update the description. Save changes. Okay, changes saved. Love that. I really like how it gave me feedback there that my changes were saved. The only thing though, okay, I did find it. It would be nice if I could figure out which one was just updated because I don't really remember the name. Okay, but that's nice. So I was able to do that and it was pretty easy. Clean up, archive a large number of runners that haven't contacted GitLab in 30 days. So this is going to be a struggle because I already know I don't have any availability to filter by the last contacted attribute. So it looks like last contact, I can sort by it. So if I sort descending, I'll give, okay, so never is definitely 30 days. So I will have to go through and remove these one by one. That stinks. So that's going to take forever and I'm not going to do that here, but that is really tough. If I had tens of thousands, I don't even know what I would do in that case. Maybe write a script manually to do it. Determine how many runners are out of date by 2 versions in order to help with compliance enforcement. So this was a huge struggle for me actually when I was first carrying this out, because I didn't know what version was the most updated, and I wasn't linked to any docs to be able to see that either. I would think that maybe like version, I don't know, would have information. But then I realized that most of them are 14.1. So I assumed that 2 versions out would put me at 12.1. So I think that I could just go with that assumption. I did end up verifying that in the docs. But I'm gonna see, I can't filter by version. This is recent searches. This gives me created date, which means nothing for me. So knowing that I've done this before, I did end up finding it. So if I change this to ascending order, I can find, there's only one that is 12.1. And again, I could use Command F, but I'd have to be on the right page to be able to find it. So that's pretty tough. If I had more than one, I'm not sure how I would have found that. Lastly, obtain a list of all runners used over time for a specific project ID. Ooh, all right, so a specific project ID. My guess is if I say type and then project, it's not gonna let me name the project. No, so I can't filter by the name of projects that I wanted to. But I do wonder, can I figure out which project any of these are related to? I guess I have to click into it. Okay, so this one is GitLab or GitLab test. So it's GitLab test, which I wonder if I go up here and say projects, go into your projects, GitLab test. By the way, I wish it had a link to just get me right to here. So I would have thought that runners would be in CI/CD. I also would have thought maybe it could be attached to jobs. No. Okay, so I do know after investigating for a little while that it is in settings, CI/CD, and then in the runners section here. So now I can see I only have one runner that has ever been available for this project. And it's interesting because the statuses are different. It's a new runner has not yet connected, which isn't even, I think offline was a status in the last table, but definitely not this. So that's interesting that it's different. But anyways, this could be a lot easier. Like there was definitely some unnecessary steps of being able to figure that out. So now that I've gone through all of those tasks, I'm gonna hop back into the mural. So this is the experience map. This kind of provides an overall set, like visual display of how I was feeling throughout the whole thing. This top area was when I was feeling highlights, I guess, of the whole process, and then lowlights is the bottom. Most of the time I was frustrated. I think I was taking a lot of unnecessary steps or wasn't able to complete the things in the way that I wanted to. And so what I did was I broke it down into each task through these stages. So a stage represents task in my case. Each one of these blue stickies is the task that I just read out in that order. And then each one of the yellow stickies relates to a task or like a step within that task. So the user thoughts here that I was writing was related to that experience and kind of like what I was thinking, which I kind of went through as I was walking through those tasks, pain points, which I definitely noted, and then opportunities were somewhat based on the pain points. So for example, the unique identifier, which I wasn't completely sure of, it would just be so much easier if there was a filter type to be able to add, or just like typing in the unique identifier and then having it filter down. That would be very easy. Another one is bulk deletion action. That would be amazing. That was super, super hard for me. And I can't imagine dealing with thousands of runners. And then also just having a confirmation message that something was deleted successfully. and adding more context into error messages and actions to fix. So at one point I had just been clicking the X button to delete them and had selected the X button after the runner hadn't completely deleted. So then it gave me,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Sorry. And then it gave me an error because it wouldn't delete something that has already been chosen to be deleted. It didn't give much context though, and I took some screenshots around that. So that's some ideas of how we can use that experience and the opportunities, pain points there to move forward. So I'm going to hop back into scorecard presentation. So overall, I ended up scoring it as a 3.0, which is a C, and it gives it an average score. I was definitely able to complete most of the jobs. It just was not easy, and I had to go through like many hoops in order to get there. And overall, the experience was okay. It didn't really match up to the experience that I've had on other areas of GitLab. I went through some of the highlights and lowlights that I've already spoken about, but obviously there's a lot more lowlights than highlights. So to give you a summary of what I just went through and next steps, there is definitely a lot of work to be done. We now have a sense of where we are at today, and we have that storyboard or experience map that gives us kind of like a map of how the experience is today that we can use as we move forward. But we can also use the information that came out of this to help us prioritize issues within the enterprise management epic. And we'll obviously prioritize the ones where pain points and poorest UX lie. So the next step is for me to create a recommendations issue, which I will end up linking here, and then see how those issues would fit in with the enterprise management epic, and then prioritize the issues within that epic to take on next. So that's all. Thanks for listening, and hopefully this was helpful.